All right, thank you, Anna and Prince, and right, thank you. Thank you. And you can take a cups over there. So, next one is going to be also Robot Journey, and it's going to present, Jukka Rauhala is going to present that one. So, please.
Do you have an adapter? Yeah, first time in here, and so I'm a robot conversion, so please be gentle. My name is Jukka Rauhala, and I work at a company named Danfoss as a test architect. And mainly there's a few slides about our journey with the robot framework, what we have achieved. It's basically summarized the last few years. You can find me from the LinkedIn, so you can add me on contact if you want. So what is Danfoss? I have a few slides about the company. Quite huge company, 27,000 people working, and global company, 71 factories and over 20 countries, privately held, and headquarters in Denmark. So top 3 markets: USA, Germany, and China. We have 4 different segments: power solutions, cooling, and Danfoss drives and heating. And the drives is a segment where I'm working on, where we started to take robot into use as our test framework. So 4,500 people working there. So we are working frequency converters. If you're not familiar what it is, it's basically if you think about when you're going in the elevator and the elevator starts and brakes smoothly, that's because of the frequency converter is controlling the electric motor. That's the whole idea. So we started our journey a few years ago, and it wasn't easy. We started basically, that's just the indicator from management that this is the tool what we're going to use, and people just started to dig that and started to do their own implementation and solution and so on. And when I joined in, they just said that they indicated to me that we need to align how we do things. And I said, okay, that's not easy because people are working in USA and Denmark and Finland. So then I just said that, okay, we have to stop this and we have to gather around the same table and decide how we do things, align things, and so on. So with the help from our subcontractor called Kensino, a little bit do marketing here. So they help us to get forward and to get the alignment faster. Then we created this kind of architecture, which basically we are dealing with layering. Here we have protocols here, and protocols, different kind of protocols, Modbus, Profitbus, that kind of stuff. And all those are Python libraries. Then we have DLLs, and around the Python wrappers, we have decided that we want to have Python wrappers or the DLLs. And above that, we have Python libraries for which act as an API towards devices. And then we have utility, which is basically helper functions like calculations and that kind of stuff, which can be serially used by all those layers. So that's the whole idea behind that. And then we have above that, we have robot framework, which basically defines the user keywords using those Python libraries. So we could have we have several test platforms or test environments, and all those have to basically implement same keywords, or at least have the same keywords, but the implementation differs if we are dealing with the different test environment, but those are using those lower layer stuff based on the implementation. And above that, we have another repository which contains test cases, which are basically using those keywords from there. And we also aligned how we do documentation for functions and robot and that kind of stuff. And we are using PyTest, do unit testing for Python, linter for Python, and linter for robot framework. So, and these all are automated during the pipeline execution. For example, if you do the pull request, it will verify all of those, and you will get the indication if it's not good enough, and so on. And why we did that is that we have also Sphinx HTML documentation generator there, which is integrated also, so we are able to create API documentation using that one. These are some tools what we are using and some metrics what we have achieved. So we have Polarian, which is requirement management software. So every time you create requirement or user story, you get a unique ID for those. I will explain the usage of that later. Then we have Git there, and then we have Azure, which is basically pipelines and that kind of stuff, and pull requests are handled there and so on. Quality assurance is done by robot. And the test environments, as you see, there's black ones are VLT drives from Danfoss, and the blue ones are frequency converters from Wagon, and the red one is basically simulation environment called Typhoon Hill. Then we created a visibility, of course, when we have a lot of test cases. We also have to have visibility, okay, what's going on actually. So we are using Power BI for that. So we have established the database in the Azure cloud, and using Power BI to visualize that. I have a few slides about that also. So we have been using Robot 2 years now, and the database was polished or at least cleaned up and agreed, okay, this is the format for the schema, how we want to go forward. And after that, alpha and beta builds can be executed that 1,100 times. And the alpha obviously is for develop build, which is executed nightly, and beta is for release. We have cumulative numbers, 85,000 test cases executed during the few months, and 8.5 million keywords. We also do measurements, almost 300,000 measurements. And what it means that if we run, for example, a motor, we can measure the speed during the test case, or we brake, we can measure the speed, and those are the measurements what we also do during the test cases. Execution times varies depending on the test case. Is it pull request or is it nightly or whatever, but it's 10 minutes to 12 hours. Visibility is created using Power BI. And from my side, it's hands down the best tool to visualize stuff. Basically, we are doing saving the results database, and we are also doing the calculations ready and store those in database. So Power BI is only used for visualization. Easy to integrate. We are dealing with the Microsoft, so we have Power BI, we have Azure, so easy to integrate. And we are using direct query. So in Power BI, you have two options: use the direct query or import the data. So if you're a direct query, you have the data in real time there. And very easy to use. And we also use the MS Teams, so it can be integrated that. So when you create MS Teams channel, you can integrate the view there, so you can basically go there and check the status. It also provides cool thing that if I, for example, select one test case here, and I want to dig in a little bit what's going on, what measurements have been done during the test case. I can also, I don't have a slide for that, but I can select one test case and go, okay, what measurements have been done during the one test execution? And I get a similar view like this. So it will list the selected test case and all the measurements done during the test execution. You can select the measurement and it will change the plotting stuff there and the graph. So we will do in the test case, we will run the motor or whatever, we will measure signals and we plot that and we will verify that the signal is good and so on. We will use Pandas data frame, which should be more or less familiar to all. Then we store that to database and we use that visualization, so it's visibility for ease use. And it's endpoint for the Scrum team, so in daily meetings they can check that out and check if there's any issues. I have one slide left, so next one is that we can also link, like I explained, we have Polarian, which is for requirements and use stories with the unique IDs. Then we have a database with test cases. So we can link those together. Then we can basically have a coverage graphs, so we can basically see how much test is done for these requirements or this requirement subset, how much test case for this user story and so on, and how much the coverage have been evolving during the last month and so on. So, any questions?
Thank you, Jukka. Tatu, you are too often there, so I can. Sorry, no.
Just quick question: how many engineers doing the automation are with you?
When we started, it was like 10. Now it's like 50. Now when we have this architecture in place and so on, so it was, I don't know, more or less easy to get people in. Now we have more documentation how we do things and people aware that, okay, this is how we want to do things. So it's, yeah, something like 50 is doing now the testing. And they're also doing software development. And we have decided that we have small Scrum teams, and one or two in the Scrum teams can also do the testing. If they do some features in the team, they decide, okay, this is a user story what they are working on. They decide, okay, that guy will do the test also for those. And how we do the linking, we actually do it like when the unique ID is created in the Polarian, we have a tag in the robot test case with that ID, so we can then link that with the Polarian when we do the graphs and so on.
Could you show the visualization thing and explain a little bit more? It looked really interesting.
Yeah, it was quite good because I did similar view for some team and it took like 30 minutes to do that. And like I said, it's hands down the best tool for visualize stuff. So in here, this actually we can select the alpha build, for example. We can select the build number, what's been executed. Alpha build means that we nightly take every software from Git, we build that one, and we run it through the alpha pipeline, which contains, now it contains 10 or 15 different test setups with test suites. So it will execute that one, then it will show all the setups which are executed there, all the failed ones and so on. If I go into Power BI and I select, for example, red ones, it will filter everything out and it will show only those in the here. So that's cool, and I can do search and that kind of stuff. And then we also have product-related filters there, so we can basically select that. Okay, so the test cases which have this option installed and so on.
Can you accumulate the test results, like see longer trends and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, that's at least the plan. That what we are trying to achieve. For example, the coverage and how it's been evolving, and if this test case has been executed 10 times, is it failing all the time, and so on and so on. This basically summarizes what we have achieved during the few years. So easy to take into use, easy to integrate with the hardware and so on. A lot of libraries available, and I'm also part of Slack, this channel, Robot Framework channel, and I think it was great, let's say, contacted the community and get some help if we have some, let's say, some challenges which wasn't, let's say, immediately available in the Google. So.
All right.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jukka.